The new Audi Q8 is a special car in a number of ways. While the new A6 may have started this new wave for the four rings in our market in 2019, this one takes things to an all-new level. There's a lot to take in. So I made sure I started my drive really early in the morning. As Audi's flagship SUV, there's a lot resting on the broad shoulders of the Q8. It all starts with the number 8. If you're familiar with Audi's model nomenclature, you know that the A8 is the pinnacle of luxury and the R8 is the pinnacle of performance. Now, it would be foolish to assume that this SUV could match up to either of those two cars on those respective fronts, but what you do expect is a little bit of both of them. On the luxury front, you're certainly well catered to, and the Q8's dashboard is a seamless blend of luxury and tech. You have a great degree of customization at your fingertips, with a choice of 11 upholstery colors and 9 inlay trims to mix and match with. Fit and finish are as ever an Audi hallmark, and the richness of materials and the way they're brought together in here is just about flawless. The screens, there are 3 of them, the first being the latest generation of Audi's path-breaking virtual cockpit digital dials, which are incredibly well designed and executed. The other 2 are a bit more interesting. The dual MMI infotainment unit relegates almost all functions from the center console into 2 touchscreens. The one on top is pretty standard, navigation, media, phone, car settings and the like, while the lower one handles climate control, seat functions and a few other features. You'll find yourself peering down and away from the road quite often. Audi has built in a haptic feedback system so you feel a click, but this also means you have to jab the screen quite firmly. Luckily, it can be turned off. Still, there's no arguing how good looking and loaded with features the system is. Speaking of features, the Q8 has a pretty generous standard features loadout, with standouts like adaptive LED headlamps, adaptive air suspension, a panoramic sunroof, and an incredible sounding 1920 watt Bang & Olufsen hi-fi system. But there are still a few options over and above this, like a heads-up display, front seat heating, cooling and massage, and rear wheel steering to name some. So that's the luxury, but is it any good to drive? Now, since I'm at the wheel, let's start with the performance. Now, it's important to remember right off the bat that this isn't the SQ8 or the RSQ8, it's just the standard Q8. And as such, it comes with a 3-litre turbocharged V6 petrol engine that makes 340 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque. Whichever way you cut it, those numbers are still pretty impressive, but what do they feel like in a 2-ton plus SUV? Well, for that, let me put it in dynamic mode, which you do by looking for where the dynamic select button is on the touchscreen. It's down here somewhere. Take your eyes off the road, very distracting. And yes, we are now in dynamic, and here we go. In our Autocar performance tests, 0 to 100 was dealt with in just 6.07 seconds, which is not too far off Audi's 5.9 second claim. And flat out, it'll do 250 kph. It does have quite a bit of performance, but I gotta say, it's not manic. It's very linear, it's a nice firm thrust, but it's not that kick in the guts that you would get from Audi's V6 diesel engine. It sounds pretty good too, but again, not amazing, and we would have liked a slightly sportier engine note. What this engine excels at, however, is being a very good everyday engine. It's really nicely refined, it's very smooth, it accelerates very predictably, and the gearbox is just fantastic. This 8-speed ZF unit has done wonders in a number of models, and Audi seems to be getting it better and better with each new car. So in a nutshell, the performance from this Q855 TFSI then is good, but not quite as much as you might have expected, judging by the way this car looks. Another thing this car absolutely excels at is ride comfort, and you might not think that at first going by the 21-inch wheels. The thing is, the air suspension has been really well calibrated, and there's just enough sidewall on those 21-inch rims to give you enough bump absorption. Even in dynamic mode like I've got it in now, it's really not that bad, and when you put it into comfort mode, it's really rather excellent. Like the powertrain, the dynamics of the Q8 might not be quite as sharp as the exterior styling would lead you to believe. In dynamic mode, body control is fairly good, but you still get a bit of roll around corners. That might be par for the course for most big luxury SUVs, but it's not quite in Porsche territory. What is really impressive though is the agility with which it turns into corners, and that's because this Q8 is equipped with rear wheel steering. Now this is going to sound like a bit of a cliche, but the steering itself, in true Audi fashion, is nothing to write home about. It's got enough weight, but it doesn't do very much in terms of feedback or precision. The seats in this car are really comfortable. Now I say this car because the Q8 is of course highly customizable. I think you could get a sportier set of seats if you wanted to, but these ones, they offer a lot of adjustments and even are heated, cooled and give you a massage. The trouble is, once again, to access the majority of those seat functions, you have to go, you guessed it, into the touchscreen. But a luxury car sold in India must have a good back seat, right? Even a sporty coupe SUV such as this. The back seats of coupe SUVs tend to be a little bit compromised on space, but not this one. You see, I have loads of room to stretch out. Now, okay, the seat is set to my position and I'm just under 5 foot 8 inches tall, but I'm sure you'll agree anybody wouldn't have a problem for legroom back here. Okay, headroom isn't quite up there with regular luxury SUVs, but compared to other coupe SUVs, it's really much better, and that's because the rake of the roof starts a whole lot further behind. There's also a lot to keep you pampered back here, like a panoramic sunroof, 2 separate climate zones, heated seats, USBs, a powered sunshade and speakers all over the place. The only complaint we have back here is the seat itself. The cushioning could have been a little bit more comfortable. With over 600 liters, the boot is big too, but the loading lip is quite tall and big suitcases stacked upright could foul with the sloping tailgate. Now, I don't do this very often, but in this case I'm going to have to, because there is something truly special about the way this car looks. First of all, it's nothing like it looks in the pictures. For a start, it's larger than you think it is. It really is. From a distance it looks like any old Audi SUV, but once you get in close, there are so many really rich details to take in. For instance, the grille, yes, big single piece Audi frame, and because this car is so customizable, you can change the color and texture of this bit, that bit, these bits, everything. It's so very customizable. Moreover, it's got this real aggression at the front. Similarly with the headlamps, big LED units, yes, similar to most other Audis, but the detailing inside with the LEDs and the wake up signature is just so very special. Now the wheels. Audi wanted to make sure the stance of the car was just right, so you can choose from 20, 21 or 22 inch wheels. These are 21s and I think they look just about perfect, and I don't think they compromise the ride too much either. As we move further down the side, you'll see the chisel look of the car and the roof. Now it doesn't look like a conventional sloping roof because of that angle over there, but look closer and you'll see that the roof does curve down, and then at the end it slams all the way back into the tailgate. It doesn't strike you as much first, but then when you see it in the flesh, it's something special. Now this chiseled shoulder over there, it's supposed to evoke the Quattro rally car of the 1980s, and I think it looks fantastic. And even this subtle curved line down the center, it's so out of place. If you think about it, everything is so sharp, but that thing just curves so gently, but it just works. It all just works. And finally, over to the rear, again, the tail lamps, the 4 diffuser effect over here, and even these artificial tailpipes, they're not real. It does seem a bit superfluous at first, but once you take it all in, it really comes together very, very nicely. This is a very special looking car, and if you want to make a style statement, this is a fantastic way to do it. The thing is, even in this rarefied niche of full-size luxury coupe SUVs, there are now so many options to choose from that each one needs something special to stand out. So can the Q8 do it? The Q8 then is the consummate flagship. It embodies everything we love about Audi, and though it has a lot going for it, I think the one thing that really stands out the most is just the way it looks. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. That, however, comes at a bit of a price, 1.33 crore rupees ex-showroom, and that's before customization and options, and that puts it bang on par with its rather posh cousin, the Porsche Cayenne Coupe. However, Audi says that what will set this car apart is the fact that it is so very customizable and that no two Q8s in India will be exactly alike. Now this should make it a big hit with the clientele that originally made the Q7 famous. That's right, Bollywood and industrialists. So with the Q8, I think Audi is finally well and truly back in the groove.